I had a hand condition when I was born called trigger finger, and it means that the tendons in my hands would essentially be too swollen to allow me to move my hands. So my hands were frozen shut for a while, and I got surgery for it. I have scars on the inside of my hands because of that. And when I started playing guitar, I was just going to be a guitarist. That came back, and I couldn't open my hands for a while. And my doctor told me I had to stop playing guitar. So I started writing songs, and the rest is history, and that's it.
Oh, all good, dude. I chatted with you about a year ago. I don't know if you remember.
I do, yes,
Okay,
sir.
yeah. You had I think you had just had Can't Hurt Me had came out and it had like the viral moment.
Mm.
But that was like the song of at the time. And it's crazy to think because like that was a year ago and what you've done since.
Yeah, yeah. Things have definitely changed. I've changed a lot as a person. Honestly, it's been like the most change I've ever experienced in a year has been this last year of my life. It's absolutely
Wow.
insane.
Well, dude, congratulations on on the success. It's pretty
Thank
amazing to
you.
watch.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
You've been here since the beginning, man. That's pretty impressive.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, man. I'm a fan. I love the new song that you just released too. It really hits close
Thank
to
you.
home as a person with drug and alcohol problems that are that's been in recovery for a long time and anything
Oh
else.
yeah.
But yeah, dude, I listen to that. I'm like, damn, like that could be about me.
Yeah, I felt weary of it because I've been like my father's an addict, like my mother was an addict for some time. Every single person on both of their sides of the family has either died from drug overdoses or blah blah blah. So it's like addiction's always been a part of my life, and I've so it has just been such like a part of my vernacular and stuff that people
Huh.
that talk to me like are quite aware of it just because it's whatever. Um, and I just haven't put it into music before because I always felt taboo about it. Like, who am I to talk about it? And I realized like I went through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you're the perfect person to talk about it. I mean, you had to
Yeah,
live it on the other side. I mean, a lot of people can talk about it in the first person, but to talk about it as the, the codependent or the other person on the other end, having to like live with it, that's a totally different approach. But
yeah.
you word it beautifully. I mean, the lyrics of the song are so good. I was like, damn,
Thank you. They're kind
nailed
of
it.
they're scathing. They're not super happy. And I also
No.
made sure uh that all of the references and stuff are all metaphorical. There just happen to be a lot of kind of um alignments between addiction and being sort of just used as a person. I was like, huh, I feel used in this situation. This person used me. What's another thing that gets used? I've got a lot of experience with drugs, so
Yeah. No,
let's
it's
do
a
that.
great song, man. It's a really, really good
Thank
song.
you. I really appreciate that. Coming from somebody who has experience with it as well, it means a lot. I feel like it always means a little bit more when somebody's like, hey, like I just got out of 3 years of a 3 year bender, and I'm finally pulling my life back together. Like, I actually appreciate you saying this stuff. Or like, hey, my dad is a recovering alcoholic, blah blah blah. Like, it always means a little bit more when somebody just has experience with it.
Uh-huh.
So that's really, really nice of you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I've been sober for a while, years, and then like about 2.5 years ago, I started to I was like, I'm gonna try like AA or whatever. Like, I'm gonna see
Yeah.
what that's about. And it's crazy like how you kind of how introspective and you like look in yourself, and then you work these steps and not that I'm some mouthpiece for AA, but like
Yeah.
here like being able to like see that and then see how it affected other people and where my role in the whole thing was,
Yeah.
aside of being like it's all about me and like, being just like an ego, centric idiot. And then like, but hearing you, deliver uh pretty much what everyone around me was probably thinking, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
to me, I was like it means a lot to hear that because as the person creating the problem, it's hard to see that. And then when you hear it, you're like, okay, like it takes a lot of just like self-reflection. And then you're like,
Totally.
okay, like you know, noticing your resentments and everything else, and then kind of just like letting them go, and then hearing, your side of the story. To me, I thought it was a really, really great
Thank
way
you. Yeah, I
to
feel like
say it.
I was saying a lot of things that I was never like I haven't said to my bio dad and like other people that have directly affected me. And like as a kid, just because of like the substance stuff, and then also just because of physical abuse and other things, I was in court ordered therapy and had a psychiatrist, like all these things. And I just like I grew up in that environment where you were supposed to unpack your feelings, but it was also like anything I said was going to be used in a court case. So it was a weird
Right.
kind of connection that I've had to it. So I never, I feel, got the opportunity to gain that hindsight and then just like talk about it. And I definitely never got the opportunity to be angry about it and like to be upset about it. And I feel like um when I felt in my personal experience that when I was surrounded by addicts, it was my job to just like hold the fort down. That's it. Like put on a brave face,
Right.
shut up, and just like take it, because it's not about you. Like they're sick, they're going through a lot of stuff. And it was very cathartic to just be like scathing about it and just like I feel as though I am a victim of addiction, but was not an addict, which is a weird thing, like a weird kind of connection to have to it. So it was definitely cathartic to just like not hold back and just say the stuff. And I have plenty of moments on the rest of the project, which is like self-loathing and self-doubt and insecurity and stuff. But this was the one song where I was like, I just need like I'm allowed to be mad about it. I'm gonna try my best at that.
Yeah, of course you're allowed to be mad about it.
Yeah, it's
And
weird.
yeah, it's definitely, I mean, yeah, like you said, it's a sickness. It's like if
Really,
somebody
yeah.
were to tell, like a lot of people will say, like, if somebody told you you had cancer and all you need to do is not do this one thing and you will live, you won't
Totally.
it'll, and then they would do, I mean, 9 out of 10 people would probably do not do that one thing. But like with
Right.
drugs and alcohol, it's like all you have to do is not do this one thing and your life will be so much better. And it's like,
But your body
but
convinces you that
yeah,
you're gonna die without it. Like
right. And then
it's
you just
so
get wrapped up
crazy.
in this whirlwind of like, well, 9 out of 10 people will relapse and go
Yeah.
do that thing. You're like, it's just such a weird, I mean, yeah,
I don't
looking
think
at it as a
people
sickness is
understand
so
the
much.
physical aspect of it. Like when you go through withdrawals, your body's literally trying to eat itself. Like it's convinced that you are killing it. And so it
Mhm.
is fighting you in a way that's like, it's not just a mind over matter thing. Like you
No.
feel that shit. It's crazy.
It really is. Yeah,
Yeah.
and looking at it as a sickness and a disease, so to speak. It's yeah, it's just a different mindset on it. But dude, I love the song, man. I will say, and it really hit close down for me. And I was like, wow, like you did a really good job. But
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, yeah. But I want to kind of catch up. Like obviously we chatted all about your journey in music the first time and where you were born and raised, and you lived in your car and all this
Yeah.
crazy stuff. Like which was really, really, you had such a unique story,
Yeah, it's a
and
good one.
yeah, you had you can't hurt me was out, and it did really well. I remember it did really well on TikTok, and then it like blew up again, I think on Instagram, right? Instagram Reels
Mhm.
or something.
Yeah, I didn't get Instagram Reels as a feature for the longest time. And then when I got it, I just like reposted the same video on there and it like doubled the numbers from TikTok and stuff. So
That's
Reels
so
has been
wild.
very nice to me.
But then to follow it up, I think the next single you put out was "Sorry to Your Next Ex," right? And
Yeah,
then
that
that
was the one right
like
after.
just triples at least the streams and numbers. I mean,
Yeah.
to come out of a song like Can't Hurt Me, and were you kind of like, is this gonna happen again? Was that like a fluke or like, going into that
Totally.
next song, like where was your mindset?
I'm I was internally terrified, mostly because I wrote, produced, like I wrote, put on TikTok, we produced and put out Can't Hurt Me. And I just didn't have any other songs. I was writing a song, teasing it and putting it out, writing a song, teasing it, putting it out, because I was a full-time college student. I just
Mhm.
started writing songs in the pandemic prior to that. So I wrote Sorry to Your Next Ex for a songwriting class that I was in.
No
Uh,
way.
they were like, write a song write a song as if you're writing for somebody else. Like, don't hold back things that you want to say. And me as a person, I think similar to Pretty Little Addict, I rarely give myself the opportunity to be like upset or to think that I am cool or to do anything, because I'm such a deeply seated insecure person, as I would assume most people are.
Yeah.
And so I wrote Sorry to Your Next Ex in a very wishful thinking way, like, I'm the shit, like, I made your life heaven, and without me it's going to be hell, like all these. I was like, I want to feel confident after
Uh-huh.
writing the song, so I wrote that for that class. And the class was like, yeah, it's a pretty good song, man. Like, it's pretty good. I like it. And then and I was like, yeah, I like it too. I think it's good. I'm gonna put it on TikTok. In my typical fashion of talking while playing an acoustic guitar, and then just like going right into the song. And it immediately, the very first video that I posted playing the song on a guitar, um, just like doubled all the other numbers. And I was like, whoa, I think I have like, I think my account is broken. That was the first thought I had, was like, I think my account's broken. Why is this working so well? But yeah, I was worried internally until I had written the song, but then right after it happened, so I didn't get a lot of time to worry about it being a fluke. I was just like, once again, oh God, okay, we got to produce the song. I got to finish writing the song.
Oh,
Just like,
so again, you didn't have it all
I
ready.
didn't have anything, dude.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
literally a rehashing of Can't Hurt Me, except I got I got to use the hindsight that I had from Can't Hurt Me,
Uh-huh.
to apply to Start Your Next Text. So I think everything just went better, because I was like, I just did this literally 3 weeks ago, so I'm gonna do it again, but I'm just gonna do it better, and it worked out better for that reason.
Yeah, and like we kind of talked about last time, it's like you had the clip and then you had to go back and record the song and then put it out. And then are people still going to, not only like pre-save it and come over and listen to it and like all that stuff is still like another task, right? I mean,
Yeah,
to have it big on TikTok is awesome, or big on Instagram Reels is
but
awesome,
it's
but
not the goal.
it isn't. And it's not even like it's not guaranteed to draw people over
Mhm.
to another app. I was talking to somebody about this recently. It's like, just to get someone to be like, okay, I'm gonna click on Spotify now, and like I'm gonna go to leave
Yeah,
an app is like, ugh, like
dude,
okay, I gotta go somewhere else.
it's our version of going, like, fucking driving to a record store and paying, $20 for a record. It's just like
Yeah, it's
the
like
modern version, which tells you how lazy Gen Z is, man. It's
right. It's
crazy.
like, I don't really want to like click something else. Like, are you
Yeah,
kidding
yeah,
me?
yeah.
But the fact that over 12 million people, or you have that many streams on the song, like people do it, right? I mean, they left it, and not only that, like even with Can't Hurt Me, I mean, 3 million times the song has
Yeah.
been streamed, but like to have them go, okay, like I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna jump over and stream it on Spotify. I mean, that's such a huge accomplishment in itself, not only the
Yeah.
virality of it, but like having them leave an app to go to another app.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we learned in that was actually in the production and like creation of that song. We learned from Can't Hurt Me's case, like, I teased it essentially as a Shawn Mendes song. That was my way into marketing it. And it was it was the first way that I had ever successfully marketed a song. And in the production of it and the recording of it, I was like, I'm not Shawn Mendes, and I don't want people to think I am after listening to this,
Mhm.
because on an acoustic guitar, this song very much so just sounds like it could have been one of his. And so I was sort of internally fighting that in the production of it. And I think it just wasn't like the best choice for the song. I think that song was meant to exist in the way that it was written. Uh, but we were new to production, we were new to all these things, blah blah blah. So I don't think it translated as well as it potentially could have. With Sorry to Your Next XO, I was like, let's just make this song exactly what it is. Let's make it angry, let's make it fun, let's uh keep it in what I know how to do, which is play guitar. And like pop rock is a very easy thing for me to slip into, just because I am a guitarist. And it doesn't feel as much like, or at least at the time, it didn't feel as much like a trend to me, because it was like, I've always been a guitar player. So I just make guitar led music, and that is still the
Mhm.
case today. Um, and so I think it translated because the production served the song better. I think my marketing served the song better. Everything was kind of just geared towards a focused narrative, which is like, I am a guitar playing pop musician.
Mhm.
I am, and yeah, I guess in that way it's just more authentic. I think I did it more authentically.
Mhm. And with, like, I mean, having 2 songs in a row do that, like, how did that change? I mean, that must have changed everything for you, imagine, right? Like, you said your life has
Yeah.
changed so much in a year, and we that was the last time we chatted was when that song, the first one, was
Yeah.
doing well, and, like, now you've got you have a record out, you've got another EP coming,
Yeah.
and, like, the music you've continually put out has been great and well received, like, so.
Yeah, thank you. For all of that. Well, after Sorry Your Nexus came out, I like started going to parties for the first time in my life, and I did like a very minor, mild version of what um is depicted in movies where like a person gets really successful and everybody wants to talk to them and blah blah blah. And it was my very reclusive version of that, which was people essentially just wanted to write with me for the first time and they wanted to know who I was for the first time. And I would go into a room and people would know who I was and I didn't have to introduce myself. And LA is such a little bubble in that way where as soon as you leave the city, like I feel fortunate enough to like get recognized in public, which is a weird feeling just because I think I'm associated to a very early generation of TikTok where people are like, oh, I've seen your videos for the, for basically as long as I've been on TikTok, which is really sweet. But most people, including me, like when you leave LA, the bubble is popped pretty quickly and you're reminded that you are nothing, you're nobody. But it was fun to indulge in that bubble for a little bit after the song came out
Oh,
and,
for
and people
sure.
really cared and or at least it seemed they cared. And that I think is where I felt the pressure that you were talking about, like because Can't Hurt Me happened and then Sorry Your Next Six did even better. I had two options and it was like, do I just release something a little bit left of center to throw them off the scent, or do I like try to top it again? And I felt lucky enough to have two moments in a row, and essentially it was like a two for them, one for me situation where I was like, I want to make a song that I just think is cool. And that's all it is. And my next single after Sorry to Your Next Six was just that. And that was received pretty well considering it didn't have any major viral moments. It got like it had a few videos over a million or two, but it wasn't quite the same moment. Um, but yeah, that was a meandering answer, but
No, no, that was
it was a bit of
no.
fun for a little bit.
Yeah, I bet. I mean,
I
to
made new
have that.
friends. I ended my
Yeah.
relationship, the relationship that I was in at that time. So just a lot of change, I think, internally happened.
Mhm. And then you ended up putting out Good Grief last year as well.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. Right
and
before
what
tour.
yeah, and then you did a tour, right?
Yeah, yeah. I did an opening slot on his artist name is Scary Pool Party. Real name's Alejandro, and he's a wicked talented guitarist, songwriter, pianist, vocalist, like everything. And he did American Idol season 16, I think, and he was the love child of that the
Of that
golden child
season
of
or
that
whatever.
season.
Got
And
it.
God, he's ridiculous. And I was such a fan of him as a guitarist when I had first started playing guitar that I had DM'd him in I think 2019, um, on hit when he was on American Idol. I was like, dude, you're a genius. You're amazing. Like, keep doing what you're doing. It's so impressive. He also comes from very humble beginnings, which I think I personally connected to.
Mhm.
Um, and I forgot that I had sent that DM until I had met him in person. And like I went to go grab his Instagram and I saw that DM from years prior of me just
Wow.
like worshiping this dude. And it was wholesome and cute, but also like awkward as fuck. Very funny.
Oh, that's too funny. I know you were talking, and I don't even know if you want to get into it at all, but I remember you saying you had something with your hands, like if you were playing guitar for too long, your hands would uh you couldn't play, right? Was
Yeah.
that something that you still battle with, and was that something you had to deal with on the road? I mean, being on a tour and playing every day, that
Yeah.
must, yeah.
It was also an acoustic tour. So I was playing every song and doing all that stuff. So it was something I was cognizant of. I would just so to answer your question, I still do deal with it. I think it's more a problem in the studio because I'm doing like 15 takes of the same guitar part just to like get it to
Sure.
feel right. And so it's the repetitivity of hand motion and stuff that really messes with them. So but tour wasn't too bad. I do recall just having to stretch my hands a little bit and stuff. And for anybody that does not know what we're talking about, I had
Go back and listen to the other interview.
yeah.
No, go ahead.
I had a hand condition when I was born called trigger finger, and it means that the tendons in my hands would essentially be too swollen to allow me to move my hands. So my hands were frozen shut for a while, and I got surgery for it. I have scars on the inside of my hands because of that. And when I started playing guitar, I was just going to be a guitarist. That came back, and I couldn't open my hands for a while. And my doctor told me I had to stop playing guitar. So I started writing songs, and the rest is history, and that's it.
Wow. Well, I'm glad to hear that it's kind of you are able to kind of control it in the
I
sense
can
that you were
gauge it.
able
It's
to.
like,
Yeah.
when you feel a muscle about to cramp and you're like, oh, and you like get off of it for a second,
Yeah.
and you're like start stretching it or whatever. It's kind of the same thing. Like I can feel tension starting to build in my forearm and in my hands and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I gotta chill for a second, guys. Let me just give me a second. And I just do my stretches, maybe ice it. It's all
And
good.
back in business.
Yeah.
And you've released what, 2 songs from the EP that's coming out? Is Flight
The
Attendant gonna be
second
on
one
there?
the second one's actually coming out in 8 days. I'm announcing the release date.
Okay, so is Flight
tomorrow.
Attendant not on the EP then?
Oh no, Flight Attendant was just a one-off. Yeah.
Okay, so well, tell me about that then. Did you have an EP in mind when you put that out?
Um, so last year's EP, I look back on very fondly and I'm very happy with. It came from a performative place, though. I think I'm definitely a guitar-based musician, but I was writing things that I thought people would like, and I was doing things for other people, which is exactly what my life was like before music. And I was just doing a musical version of that, especially with like the initial success of the first couple singles from the project. I was like, like everybody loves it. I just don't want to let them down. That's it. And the last song on last year's project, the title track, Good Grief, was the first song that I cried while writing. And I was like, whoa, this is I didn't realize music could be emotional. I think I always looked at it like a thinking man's game of puzzles and math and blah, 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 which speaks to, once again, my life before music.
Yeah, you were like going to college to be like an engineer, right? An aerospace engineer or something like that.
Yeah, aerospace, yeah. And I treated music as such, but
Which it kind of is mathematical if you think about it, like breaking it
totally.
down. Yeah.
No, it's totally math. And through writing that song and then the writing that came after that project before I went on tour, I found an emotional thing that I could pull from for it. And at first I thought emotions would like cloud the cleverness of it or make me biased or whatever. But it made the songs better, and it made them feel more relevant and carry more weight and stuff, which I hadn't experienced before. Before it was just about like being cool. That was it. Even if I was being emotional, it was about being cool and emotional, and so Good Grief was a song that I really felt to my core. And I did that again while writing after the EP, once again before tour. And Flight Attendant was a song that I had written in Nashville with a friend of mine over there. And it was a song purely based on the feeling of what I was going through at the time, which was the loss of that relationship that was happening during Sorry to Your Next Sex. And funny enough, while like things were going so well for me on the internet and on the outside, it was so great, I was just like at possibly the most miserable I've ever been in my life, and the most depressed and just like not wanting to be here, and all of these things was happening while I felt like I was supposed to be celebrating my success, which I think is typically how it goes for some reason. It's like the universe likes to people
yeah,
out.
exactly like the push and
Nothing
pull
is
type deal.
worse than somebody congratulating you for your success while you feel miserable inside. And I learned that at that time.
Yeah, there's the band Gin Blossoms.
Yeah.
They're the guy that wrote a lot of the songs, like those early on that early record, like Hey Jealousy and those ones. He died after that first album success. He wasn't the singer, but he was a member of the band. And then like
Yeah.
when the second album came out, it was, I think it's called like uh sorry for like congratulations, sorry for your loss or something like that, where it was like the singer would always hear
Yeah.
like, dude, congratulations on the record, like the success, but it was like, oh, sorry for it.
Are
It
your
was like one of
friend?
those things, yeah, it's like this great thing is happening and then this other terrible
Oh,
thing happens. So it just reminds me, like when you're saying that, like you're like all this success is happening, but like all this, the most, I'm losing my partner and like, you're just
totally.
depressed and sad and everything else, but you're like, I got to put on this,
Wow. I
smile
didn't
for
know
the
that about
camera.
that band. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a great title for a project too.
Yeah.
Um,
It's something I'll look it up, the actual name, but go ahead. Sorry.
oh, you're good. You're good. That's cool. But yeah, I was feeling all that. Flight Attendant, I wrote just purely off of that feeling of helplessness that I feel like I had at that time, which was just watching. It was partly my life, but also just watching this relationship crumble in front of me, and once again trying to maintain composure. I don't think there's anything sadder than a person that is trying to hold it together. Because like, why are you trying to hold it together? It's such a human thing to think that you have to, because you're embarrassed or you feel like people are relying on you. It's just such an interesting mix of emotions that creates that facade. And I relate to it so heavily, and so many of the songs on this next project are touching on that.
Hmm.
Because I feel like I found an emotional well for me to tap into, which is like trying to put on a brave face for the other people around me.
Hmm.
Uh, and yeah, Flight Attendant was just a feeling. I didn't necessarily care how it did numbers wise. I just wanted to put out a song that showed people that I was able to feel things,
Hmm.
and it did that. And funny enough, like people are getting tattoos of the lyrics of that song, and they don't do that for any other song,
That's
out of the
wild.
streams. But to see that emotional connection really was inspiring for me. I was like, oh wow, people really care. That's really nice.
Did it feel like writing that kind of, well, it sounds like Good Grief you did that too, but like now the faucet is kind of turned on and then
Mhm.
did you write like Pretty Little Attic, like any, was that those records written in the rest of the EP, I guess, was that when you came back to LA or did you
That
write
was
other songs in Nashville?
I wrote a lot in Nashville. My manager is based in Nashville. So I go
That's
out
where
there.
I'm at. That's why I was curious.
Oh, okay. Oh, I forgot about that. That's
Yeah, I'm
crazy.
from San Diego though, originally, but
That's what I
I've
remembered
lived,
was you
yeah,
were a
yeah, yeah.
California kid. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I moved here 2.5 years ago ish. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I love writing in Nashville just because I feel like the pressure is off a little bit. For anybody that's ever worked with an artist, like the worst thing you could do is create pressure in the room to like deliver something, because that is an artist's entire life, is like deadlines, delivery, content. Like treating music like content is the hardest, is the worst way to get something meaningful out of it. So
right.
I love that in Nashville. Like the only thing they cared about was just telling a story, and I love telling stories, and all of my songs do in some way. So Flight Attendant came from there. None of the other songs from this EP, or none of the songs from this EP came from Nashville. Flight Attendant was the only one, but I have those songs, love them, and am sitting on them for when they just make the most sense. Um, but similar to my last project, I wrote a lot of the songs on this project by myself or with like close friends of mine, just people that understand me and get where I come from, and care about my point of view on those situations. It's kind of rare for me to write something that I personally love and connect to with a group of random people, which
Mhm.
makes me a weird artist, I think, by LA standards. Um, so I wrote Pretty Little Addict in LA when I came back right before tour. And I wrote a handful of the other songs in that gauntlet of sessions that I was doing after Sorry to Your Next Ex, which like people want to write with you for the first time, like get out there, kid, like go into the world and
Mhm.
do stuff. And a lot of those sessions were bad because it was me being a kid in my bedroom with an acoustic guitar in a different world for the first time. But it would spark ideas and stuff that I could bring back and write in my bedroom and do what I typically would do.
Mhm.
Uh, but with this newfound vulnerability and kind of intent of digging deeper into myself.
Okay. And with you said in 8 days you're gonna release what, the next single? Or are you gonna announce the because you haven't announced the EP yet, or have you announced the EP?
I have not announced the EP yet. I have talked about it pretty openly, but I haven't like said the release date or the title of it. I'm announcing the next single. I've already sort of unofficially announced it on TikTok. I'm not really precious with TikTok. I think partly because it just gave me my career to in a certain way.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna just tell you when it comes out in the comments. I don't really care that much. It's like
Okay.
it's not
Yeah, I
that
didn't
deep.
wanna, like, start asking you questions because I have the title and everything, but I don't know if the next song's coming out in 8 days, this will be a I'll wait and push this out after, so I was curious if you can talk about the
Yeah,
new
yeah, yeah. It's
single.
called You Don't Even Like Me. And it's it's one of those that I have been surprised by how much people have liked it in a way. Because my experience with TikTok and social media is when you go viral for a song and then you go to tease the next song, that next song just flops for the first little bit because it's not the song that you just went viral for. So it's a little hard to get things to move again.
Mhm.
And that hasn't been the case with this song, which is the first time that I've experienced that. It's like I can just post a video of me walking down the street, like very casually lip syncing the lyrics to it, and it'll get 100,000 views. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. I've never tried so little and have gotten such good payoff before. Usually it's me like performing like a fucking circus monkey with a while talking and playing guitar and doing 50 takes and all this stuff. So
Yeah, you said you used to, like, bring the song into Logic and, like, really edit it, right? Like, I mean, you went,
yeah,
like,
I
full on
stopped
production
doing
on
that.
the videos.
Yeah, I stopped doing that partly because acoustic videos I don't think do as well anymore as they used to.
Uh-huh.
Um, but mostly because my biggest problem on TikTok is being too performative. And performative is the death of authenticity, at least in today's world. I don't think in general
100%.
that makes
Yeah.
sense, but like here it totally does. And TikTok is all about manufactured candidness. So if I get too much control over the end product or over a video, I will make it too perfect, and that is a problem. And it's something that I came to terms with while marketing Pretty Little Attic because it just wasn't working for the first week that I was teasing it. I was like, I got this. I'm gonna pull up an acoustic guitar. I'm gonna talk. Bada bing, bada boom. It's gonna go viral. Did not at all. Did not move at fucking all. And I had to pivot really hard and um, figure out what wasn't working and why it wasn't working. So
Uh-huh.
You Don't Even Like Me is I've been sort of toting it as my most honest song to date, and I would say that that is absolutely true. Um, and it is the first time that I've explicitly, I think, told people how afraid I am of not being good enough for them, for other people around me. And it is that self-doubt, self-loathing side that I haven't really touched on before because I'm so used to either being a victim or being awesome. And that has been like the spectrum of my brand up until this point. But this song is not either of those. If anything, it is me being a victim of my own thinking. And that is a little bit of a theme for this project, is me trying to take accountability for the stuff that has happened in my life. Like I am as much a villain as the people that I villainize. And that's why Pretty Little Addict is sort of unique for this project, because it's the only song where I'm like, no, you were wrong here. Fuck
Right.
you. That's it. None of the other songs have that. And Pretty Little Addict was just kind of like a fun nod at Sorry to Your Next Text. Literally, it was like, here's an upgraded, darker, more mature version of Sorry to Your Next Ex. Um, and there won't be another one on the project, but there are other very fun songs on it for sure.
Well, I can't wait to hear, the next ones that you have coming out. Like I said, your career has been so cool to watch, and that most recent little Pretty Little Attic, like, I was like, "Damn," when I heard it, like, the lyrics are great and just, like, the concept, like, everything about the song, I was really, really, like I was like, "Wow."
Thank you.
I
Thank
know
you.
how the like my wife feels, or how people I grew up with feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think what you're doing is awesome, and I appreciate you coming back on and chatting with me today. Thank you so much, Hayden. This has been awesome.
Yeah, totally. It's rare to have any kind of full circle moment in the music industry. So this is really honestly sweet. It's very, very cool and wholesome. I think it's
Uh,
awesome. Thank you for having me.
of course, and I hope to have you back again on the next one.
Let's just make it annual, man. Let's just
Dude,
be
I'm holding you to that. I'm gonna take this clip. I'm gonna send it to you and say, "Look, you said that we could do
I'll
this."
do it. Dead ass, man. Let's do it for sure.
I have one more question. I asked you this last time, but I'm gonna ask it again. If you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Um, I think what I have been the voice that I've been listening to in most recently has been the one just saying, what's the best way to put this? I think it's really, really important to be as incredibly authentic as possible. And obviously in music, like I think that is pretty common, but everybody forgets to do that on the internet. And I think they forget that how you are perceived as like an entire third of your artistry. It's the music, it is the live performance, and it is the public perception. And without one of those, you don't have like a fully developed artist career. And it's really hard to nurture all three of them at the same time. But a lot of people are super authentic in their music, but then they feel like a little too cool on the internet to actually put themselves out there. And seeing the internet as a place where people want to connect with you as opposed to seeing it as a place where people want to ridicule you, um, is incredibly helpful, because all that is all TikTok is, it is all Instagram, any of these things is just a place where people want to connect with other people. Think about it like a social club in college or in high school or something. And it'll open you up to a lot more possibilities. It's weird to make the advice TikTok focus, but I think it kind of goes anywhere. Same thing on stage. Like, don't be afraid to be you there, because nobody else can do that, and you're going to be competing with a million other people if you're just trying to be the cool, like too cool to be vulnerable artists. Nobody gives a fuck about that anymore. I don't think that that's what music is for anymore. So that's what I've been focusing on, is just letting down my walls a little bit, because people seem to have they seem to be receiving it well.